All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're not seeing things. I'm back for round two tonight here of our double header of wrestling coverage on Sportswire Radio, and it doesn't get any better than this because our guest here tonight is going to be in action once again for his Interstate Openweight Championship. We're going to see him next weekend, Memorial Day weekend, one of the biggest weekends of the year here, not only for movies but also for pro wrestling and backyard wrestling and everything else in between. He's going to be in the ring for our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment's Vindication 2. He'll be in the ring against the newest member of Vector, Tyler Ark. He's going to talk about that plus a heck of a lot more. You never know what you're going to get here tonight on Sportswire Radio, but he needs no further introduction. But because he is the champion and he's been one of our all-time favorites, he's getting one anyway. So with without further ado here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show, the WC Interstate Openweight Champion of the World, Catalyst James Marshall. The champ is here, my friend. How are you?
Doing pretty good, Reverend Tom. How about you?
I'm good. I'm actually surprised you got up after what happened at the last show with Dead or Alive with Craven Rage. I mean, you were pretty much buried under a pile of chairs, and we're happy to see you. Happy to see you alive here in the magic of video and camera. We're going to see you next weekend. And first of all, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm still feeling the effects of that last man standing match, but I'm still standing.
Well, that you are. So the good news here is that you're not in a last man standing. You're in a match here. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 here, and obviously going to speak a lot about that here tonight, plus a heck of a lot more. But let's talk about it here because we're going to be seeing you in the ring against a different opponent in Tyler Ark. And Tyler Ark is the newest member of Vector, and I guess he had a plan. Maybe it was concocted by Nicholas Crenson. Who knows? Whatever it might be. But certainly, your newest challenge is going to be Tyler Ark, and it remains to be seen if this is actually going to be a new and improved Tyler Ark. But for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, I mean, Catalyst, talk about your opponent here and what we can expect, certainly after his promo. He might be somebody that is a changed man, and tell us what you think and where we go from here next weekend at Vindication 2.
Well, I've seen Tyler Ark's work last season, and it was, in my opinion, subpar. He does what he does to get by, but for aligning himself with Nicholas Crenson, of all people, one of my bitter rivals in WCE, who knows what Nicholas Crenson is teaching him? I don't know, but I gotta be prepared for that matchup.
All right, let me ask you a question on that, because you said a couple of interesting things, and I happen to agree with you. Last season, Mr. Ark, let me put it in a politically correct way, maybe didn't have the most impressive of a performance in WCE, but maybe this season, is there something different, or is it at least maybe from his vantage point aligning himself with the likes of Mr. Crenson, somebody you know very well? Is that going to change his fortunes at your expense next week?
Maybe, because we all know how Crenson handled himself in the ring. He might pass that information on to Tyler Ark and try to dish out on me and try to get this. Who knows, but I'll try to be prepared for anything he throws at me in that match.
Well, before I get to some comments here, I mean, I should probably put it out there. I mean, I'm not quite sure what advice Mr. Crenson could give Mr. Ark when it comes to championship matches, because we know certainly Mr. Crenson's track record in championship matches. So, I mean, I guess from your vantage point, you might actually be hoping that Mr. Ark gets advice from Mr. Crenson on championship matches, because Mr. Crenson's record in championship matches, I mean, how can I put it in gentleman terms? It's almost borderlining into Chicago Cubs territory of yesteryear, Boston Red Sox for our baseball fans, Buffalo Bills when it came to 4 straight Super Bowl losses. I mean, we can go down the list here of, I mean, he's one of the ultimate, I don't want to say it, but I should say it maybe because you'll probably be agreeing with it, one of the bigger chokers in the big game. So maybe you're hoping he gets that advice from Mr. Crenson then.
Well, maybe. You said it, not me.
Well, that's the track record. The track record here certainly speaks for itself here. And I want to get to some comments here first before we come back to you and Mr. Ark. The IMF is tuned in here. They say hello, Mr. Catalyst. Also, Adonis Felios, the Drip King, the AIW champion, says evening, Tom, and evening, Catalyst, although I think he spelled it with an I. But that's okay. But, I want to talk about Vector again because Crenson spoke with Jovi and he spoke about honor and he spoke about doing the right things, and he's not going to have Vector at his beck and call to help him. But in your match, we haven't heard any of those details. So I have to ask you, are you concerned about the numbers game? Because you do know that Vector, when it comes to WCE, they have the numbers game.
True. They do have numbers against me. It's on like 4 if you count Dirty Deadskin. Like 6 against 1.
Yeah, there's like 3 of Dirty Deadskins in there. Yeah, I'll give you that much. I'll give you that.
Oh yeah, but I'm not all too concerned about it because management and Mark Packer are getting a little fed up with Vector's antics running around in WCE.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I can imagine.
I have confidence in management, Mark Packer, on how they deal with Vector.
Are you sure about that, though? I mean, Vector hasn't been stopped so far. They've only been growing.
I'm sure. I'm sure about that.
Okay, so you think, though, that you'll be able to handle this then? You feel confident then that this won't be an issue for you in terms of retaining a championship?
Correct, Mr. Tom Bryce. Yep.
Okay, all right. Well, let me get to some more comments here because people do want to say hello. The resident rock star, Sean Jovi, going to get to him certainly in a few minutes. He says hello. Everybody follow Sean Jovi, RCW rules. Also, this individual's named Soldier. You heard Soldier GP, Mr. Heel Life 24/7. He's the DKW Hardcore Champion via the IMF. Well, if it ain't the measuring stick of the WCE. I mean, I guess in a way, I should ask you that comment, and I'll turn it back into WCE. And I mean, do you feel like that you are kind of the guy that everybody goes up to and says, you know what, this is my performance? You're the guy almost, Crenton said it here on prior shows, you're almost like the floor general. You're the guy almost that can do any type of spot, any type of match. In a lot of ways, you are kind of like, I don't want to quite say like the Bret Hart of the WC locker room in terms of what you could do in terms of your ring ability, but pound for pound, you might be the best wrestler in this company. Do you feel like in some ways you are the measuring stick of the WC and your championship is that prize to go with it?
I have to agree with you there because I have been busting my butt just to retain this, and the results speak for itself. I am holding the gold.
I'll definitely say you are holding gold. There's no question that you are holding gold. But, I mean, let's talk about, again, going back to Vector. Now, you say Vector, in terms of the numbers game, you think Mark Packer is going to handle this. You think management's got an eye on this. So I'm going to take your word for it. We have a week between now and Showtime. Maybe there'll be something said by then. Craven's coming on here Wednesday, your opponent at last show. I'll certainly ask him his thoughts on that, and I'll get to him in a few minutes as well. But there is a possibility that the luck of Vector could change. You think about it, we spoke about Crenson, and we've kind of joked about him in the big match, right? Tyler Ark last season had a subpar performance. You look at him and say, what does this guy really bring to the table? But there's a possibility that even though Craven and you might be the 2 champions, by the time we get to next week, we could see Sean Jovi without his coveted RCW title and your coveted interstate title, And I'll even go further in saying it that Vector could be the premier faction, not only in WCE, but maybe even in this sport, because they're going to be holding two of the biggest prizes in our sport. I mean, what do you say to that possibility? Because it's a real possibility right now. Because the way Crenton confronted Jovi, Jovi was thrown off his game last show. The way now you see Tyler Ark, maybe he's gotten the advice, maybe he's got the numbers, the backup, maybe he's got something different, a pep in his step. I mean, there's a possibility that Vector could be the rulers of, well, frankly, any yard out there, and that has to concern you.
Well, it doesn't really concern me one bit because Sean's out there. He's displaying a whole new attitude and a whole new offense, if you want to throw that out there. Like, he took down Adonis Filios. And Adonis, he's a big dude, no doubt.
Very big dude.
But he managed to take him out and retain his RCW title. If he can do that, he can pretty much do anything. Even if it means defending against Nicholas Crenson in a pure rules match last time I checked.
Yep.
So I have confidence that Sean's going to hold the belt. The same
But
way
do
as
you
I
have confidence? Do you have confidence in yourself though? Because you say
Yeah.
in Jovi, yes, but what about you?
I have confidence in my ability too. I can take out Tyler Ark because I know a lot more than Tyler does. Even Crenson, if you want to throw him in there.
All right, so are you saying, because you said Crenson threw him in there, so I'm about to say something here, and I'm going to tie it back to Crenson and Jovi here in a second. Are you saying that Crenson didn't want you again? He didn't want you in the ring again? Is that what you're saying just now?
I wouldn't be surprised so because I've beaten Crenson how many times?
Too many. Too
Too
many.
many. Yeah.
Too many. Too many. Too many times.
Too many.
But,
Too many
but
times.
Crenson took Jovi, and he hasn't beat Jovi, so then there has to be something they're planning. You have to know that Crenson's up to something here. Somebody is going to be dealing with something. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what's to be. I'm not in Vector, neither are you, but you have to be going about this in the back of your mind that they're up to something.
Well, I wouldn't put it past them to try something in either of those matches.
Okay, all right, fair. Now, if I were to say to you that Tyler Ark, of all people, might be confident going into this match, maybe even more so than Crenson against Jovi, is because of the fact maybe he feels like you're at your most vulnerable right now. Because look at what Craven did to you. Look at what Craven even did to you after the match, where he curb stomped you and he put you through all those chairs. And I mean, we don't really know what the conditions are going to be. You're going to tell us all the right things, and I would expect that. You're the champion. But from his vantage point, Tyler Ark, the Mano Machinist, he's going to feel like right now he's got you exactly where he wants, and he's going to be feeling great right now.
Yeah, he's gonna be act like a vulture and try to jump on me after that match. But hey, bring it on, Tyler.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? We're going to have to find out here before I get to some more people. I will throw out there some comments. This individual says Tom Zan. I think he's referring to me. I don't know a Joshua Martin. I don't know. I'm missing something here, but hello to you, Joshua. I don't know if we know each other. Probably do at this point. I have so many friends on Facebook at this point that I actually people I don't even know who they are anymore. That's okay. Adonis Bello says best bet, huge W goes to Catalyst. All right, so you know what? I'm going to follow that up and say, is there a possibility you could be overconfident going into next weekend?
Nah, I wouldn't call it overconfident. It's just a no, not overconfident one bit.
Not so. And why do you say that?
Because, like we stated before, Vector can. They're gonna try something. I won't be surprised, but I might have a trick up my sleeve.
Okay, well, listen. As one wrestler said before you, that was the good guy CJ Black. He was talking about his matchup coming next month because he came off his match today where he scored a victory over his brother. I told him, don't spoil your plans because somebody out there will certainly find out here. Now, I have some more comments here, which I'm going to get to, which is the IMF guys here. They want to speak to you. They say, Soldier says, when I'm done with Jovi, I want a shot at the ring general of WC, and then followed up here with the IMF world champion. There he is, meaning you. So I'm sure you got a glimpse, and we'll come back to WC in a second, but I'm sure you caught a glimpse of what Omen Black and Soldier GP had to say about the resident rock star Sean Jovi, and also certainly Craven Rage is going back and forth with the Nicholas Crenson we saw a little bit of with them, and they were very impressive, the guys in their own right yesterday, because they were on the Levi McDaniels card, and they actually wound up successfully defending their titles against a couple of different guys in that promotion, and they handled them easily. I mean, are you concerned though that these guys like a Soldier GP and Omen Black are coming in from places they've got a very impressive resume, and the guys here in WCE may not know what's coming and what's in store?
I wouldn't say concerned, but I'm just sitting back and waiting to see who makes the first move.
So you're saying basically it's a matter of who pulls the trigger first?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I'll come back to that. But Nicholas Crenson, your old nemesis, because he was brought up, obviously, the now Psycho Wolf Nicholas Crenson. We'll certainly bring him up before I come back to the IMF guys. If Ark listens to what I've taught him, he'll certainly be taking you seriously, Catalyst. You are not someone we take lightly, and anyone who does is a fool. This is a learning experience for Tyler Ark, and Catalyst, you are the perfect person to help educate him. So translate that, and what is Nicholas Crenson trying to get at toward you?
I think he's trying to use me as a learning tool for Tyler Ark. Just to teach him a lesson, a thing or two about how we do things in the ring. I think. But then again, it's Nicholas Crenson. He's not all 100% up there from last I checked.
All right, so let's work with me on this, because from what Crenson said, and I'll bring the comment up here because I'm trying to, again, help me for those that are listening and watching that are fans of WC and fans of Sportswire to figure this out here. Nicholas Crenson putting Tyler Ark, his guy, up against you to educate him. So is Nicholas Crenson basically saying that Tyler Ark isn't going to win this match and you're going to take him to the woodshed? Is that essentially what he's saying, or am I missing something here?
From what I'm reading, yeah, it sounds like it. He's pretty much using Ark as the quote-unquote sacrificial lamb.
So why would he put him up, though, in the ring, though? What's the point of putting somebody up there to take a beating? I mean, to take a senseless beating. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, there has to be some motive here. So, I mean, help me understand this here, because I would think I know a thing or two about these things, but apparently I guess I don't.
Your guess is as good as mine. I have no clue, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this match as a match, but be on my guard. I don't know what he's planning, but...
Well, Mr. Crenson likes to say it's to grow. In what way, though? To grow in what way? If he doesn't have confidence, he's basically telling us, now correct me if I'm wrong, he's basically telling us in a backhanded or underhanded way that you're going to take him to the woodshed. Then how does he grow from that?
Maybe to build Callus? Who knows?
I'm just trying to get something out of it. But I will say, I'd like to get people to get out and follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment if you haven't already at WCE Heat on YouTube. Facebook, and also WCHeat.com. And it's important to follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment, especially on YouTube, because you can watch all the great shows, especially the one coming up next weekend. That is Vindication 2, where our guest tonight, that is going to be the reigning defending interstate openweight champion, Catalyst, will be defending that championship against the man on mattresses himself. That is Tyler Ark. And my name, you know by now, is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I got a couple of comments here from Mr. Omen Black, and he says, WC has no idea what it's like to be so dominant. He also says, I'll be seeing you very soon, James. Omen also likes to add, Crenson sends a boy to do a man's job. No one in Vector can do it. So I'll be glad to bring Marshall out to simply desecrate his career. I mean, is that a fair statement that Crenson is sending a boy to do a man's job? Is that a fair statement, you think? Or what's your impressions of that?
Uh, Not too sure all about that. It's I don't know. Speaking in riddles.
Well, that's what wrestling is. A lot of wrestling is about riddles. That's, I guess, one way to look at it. And Soja also wants to say, Omen, they don't want none of the IMF. Well, I guess that's going to be up to WC and the IMF to figure out. We'll have to stay tuned, maybe even later on, to find out. But let's talk about Craven Rage here. Craven Rage coming on here Wednesday night live, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Time. And you certainly had a match here with him that a lot of people have watched and talked about. And the first thing on a lighter I'm going to ask you on was, what was it like pulling off that cannonball outside the ring? Because I was watching that, and that was the first thing. I'm like, you know what? I could ask him this, I could ask him that, but how did you pull off the cannonball?
It was a spur of the moment because it's Craven Rage. I gotta pull all the stops to keep him down for a full 10 seconds, and obviously I didn't get the job done.
That took a lot out of you doing that move.
Oh yeah.
In hindsight, should you have done that move?
Maybe. Once again, I had to try to do something.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess that'll have to be something else here. Joshua Martin has a comment here, but I'm not really going to add anything to the discussion, so I'm going to move off that. Going back into the match with Craven, last man standing, a lot was said. Certainly, Craven did a lot to you in the match itself, and I'm going to ask you a question on it. Tell me your thoughts. Did Craven get under your skin to the point that maybe it took you off your game last month and you fell right into Craven's trap?
When he brought my family into it.
It was here on this show. It was the week
and
before.
Also, if you didn't catch it when I was outside the ring, he called me a worthless dad.
Yep, I caught. Listen,
he slapped me in the face too.
Yep. He got in your head. He played mind games with you, and that's been Craven's run here throughout this past year. That's what he's done successfully.
Yeah, and even the acid bath driver that I gave him didn't put him down. And result of that, he put me through a door.
He did a lot to you. Listen, he put you through a table. You were put through that table, and you had the chairs buried underneath you. And look at what happened to you outside the ring. And you were super kicked. You were pretty much you were taken to the woodshed. And what maybe Mr. Crenson's saying that you were going to do to Mr. Rock next weekend.
Yeah, maybe it's just maybe Crenson's putting Ark in front of me as a way to let out frustrations from that match. Who knows? A theory.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? Let me get to a couple of comments here. First, I want to give a shout out to a big supporter of WC, which I want to make sure I recognize here. That is JR Wynn. JR has been rocking the WC merchandise. He's everywhere, JR Wynn. Also, JR had a birthday there. Yep, I got mine too. Listen, and you can get yours at WC.
I got mine.
You got to get it. Listen, I saw Darkfire rocking the gear in one of his last promos. You got to go to WCHeat.com where you can get your WC swag, and JR is always rocking that swag, and also want to give him a huge listen. We love that logo. And
Oh yeah.
JR, by the way, thank you for that. And by the way, I want to thank everybody here who's gotten us over the 600 follower milestone on Facebook. We're at 601 followers now, so I really appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Also, a lot of new subscribers on YouTube, and JR has been one of WC's biggest supporters here. And JR is even going to go on the record, and I guess maybe we'll have this by Wednesday's show, and I'll finalize my Vindication 2 predictions this week. Looking forward to hearing that maybe Wednesday night, JR, when I have Craven Rage. You can certainly let us know that. And also, here are some more comments. Adonis Failure says Vector will meet their end very, very soon, but they might be just getting started. I mean, they just might be getting started. I don't know. But Mr. Crenton, let me bring up Mr. Crenton here because Mr. Crenton would like to say, you grow from new wrestling opponents. And Catalyst, Tyler Ark has all the heart to be a champion. Now, it's a real test to see if he can overcome you. Catalyst, we aren't dumb. We know you're the odds-on favorite, but Ark has the drive. So to 100% say he has no chance, I think would be foolish either way, win or lose. This match will benefit Ark in the long run. What do you say to that?
Well, there are instances I have to agree with Princeton on this one.
Why?
This will be a learning experience for Tyler Ark to face an opponent like me because I will put him into the limits. And
okay,
maybe he might learn a thing or two on his next opponent.
All right, maybe. So it sounds like tonight it's Crenton and others speaking in riddles. That's what I've learned, but I still go to it, and people aren't going to take Tyler Ark seriously until the moment he gets in the ring. The only thing I'm going to say, now tell me your thoughts on this. Maybe there's something here. Coming back to this weekend coming up here, Memorial Day weekend, you and Tyler Ark, maybe Crenton shares some of his experiences in the ring that he has shared with you in order for him maybe to learn how to deal with you. You know, sometimes, and this comes up a lot here on Sportswire, because as you know, we have on countless wrestlers around the world. We have British wrestlers, we have wrestlers from across the country, you guys all in WC, and sometimes they ask this question, and I'll say to whoever it might be, and I'll say, well, you go back to the tape. We had on a wrestler yesterday, the juggernaut John Allens, who's like you, competing for a title. He's the challenger. And I had asked him, well, you had been in the ring with your opponent last year. How much have you gone back and watched the footage? And he said, well, Tom, I watched it a lot, and I learned on what I need to do in order to win next Monday, bank holiday. And he kind of said, you know what? I've learned from my mistakes. I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to win, but I kind of watched the tape, and I know in my mind how I would run that back differently. So maybe conversely, coming back to you, champ, Crenton shares his advice of wrestling you as much as he's had of late, and maybe that's the insight that Tyler Ark gains to help him make this one where he's got a shot. What do you say to that?
Maybe that's the thing. Yeah, like you just stated, he's sharing his insights of what his experiences on me, especially you can to Tyler. So maybe you got something there.
All right. I mean, let me then ask you conversely. I mean, there isn't as much, how can I put this in a politically correct way, impressive footage of Tyler Ark, but there is footage out there, not counting the match he had with Mr. Crenton that we saw at the last show. But do you go back and watch any tapes on him, conversely?
Yeah, I watch a few bit of Tyler Ark matches if I can stay awake for them, but yeah, I've been watching footage every chance I get outside from family life. Yeah,
I understand this. I know you're a busy man. You've obviously got the baby, you've got the family, and I know certainly Mr. Craven said a number of things about you in the ring and outside the ring about that, so I won't go too far with that. But speaking of somebody here that's going to be in the ring against Craven Rage, and he's, I guess, kind of considered him a mentor, an idol, whoever you might want to call it, and that is Prince Charles himself, and he says, "What's up, Prince is in the house." So I'm actually going to do something that I wasn't going to do, but since we have you here on the line and Prince is here listening, tuning in, I mean, do you have any advice for Prince Charles? I mean, Prince Charles has been, by all intents and purposes, I don't want to say a Craven Rage lackey, but he has been a Craven Rage fan all the way. I mean, he said it. He's the self-described Craven Rage #1 fan. He looked up to Craven, although I don't really think Craven sees him in the same way. So I'm trying to, be careful on my comments here, but I will go and let you say if you have anything to share for Mr. Charles, as he's going to square up in the ring against Mr. Craven Rage, the man you saw last month in that last man standing. So, any advice for Prince Charles?
Prince Charles. All I can say is, don't let him get to your head, as he did to me. Just eyes on the prize, rooting for you.
But I think what you just said, though, has been maybe fortunately, unfortunately, well, I'll be unfortunately for you, certainly, is that Craven, everybody he's been in the ring with, he's successfully done that. He's gotten under everybody's skin, whether it's you, whether it's Jovi, Kodak Kid, Crenson, Tyler Ark, Darkfire, a guy that doesn't even work here anymore that held your title for a cameo. I mean, we can go down the line here in his reign of terror that's made him the ruler of the yard. I mean, even this guy Skulls, who hasn't wrestled here yet, I feel like Craven's in this guy's head because all you do is hear Skulls on Facebook talk about Craven Rage. So, I mean, how does a guy like Prince Charles go out and not let him play the mind games, not let him get in his head because he's done that with everybody else, including you?
Man. I don't know, Charles. It's something you got to figure out for yourself in more depths of how to beat Craven Rage for the belt.
Do you think he has a shot at beating him?
Probably a 65% chance, yeah.
Okay, so he has a chance. All right, I respect the honesty. I certainly do respect the honesty. And going over back to your championship for a second, and I want to address something because obviously we spoke about the resident rock star Sean Jovi very briefly at the beginning of the show. As I'm sure you're aware of, he, in addition to his RCW championship he holds, he still, anytime he wants, has the opportunity to get a shot at the championship that you're holding. And I was curious, especially for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, that are fans of WC, maybe even Mr. Jovi himself. I mean, is that something that you take seriously or you concern yourself about when, let's say, should you retain the title next weekend, when, let's say, Mr. Jovi will pick his spot and maybe want to take that title off you?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that, yeah. He does have that little advantage of, you can cash that rain check in anytime he wants, but also Darkfire has the opportunity too.
True, but I feel like you said it yourself, and he's actually said it himself here with us last time he was with us. It's a different Jovi this season. Jovi has a different edge right now. It's not the jovial big man. It's not the guy that's fun-loving, playful. He's got a serious side about him, and he's looking to almost not necessarily cement himself, but I would say further enhance maybe even his legacy in WC, but maybe even elsewhere. And that's why that's something maybe you should be concerned more about him than even a Darkfire.
Yeah, but knowing Jovi, he's not going to take the coward's way of getting a championship, trying to cash in on me on my most vulnerable. I know Sean. He's not going to pull that kind of tomfoolery.
Now, normally I would agree with you, and here's why I'm going to say, especially for those that are listening that are Sportswire radio fans, that there's still a consideration. You have to think that he might do it, because earlier last night on Sportswire Radio, we had watched a match from a company called GT Ministries in the UK, and 2 days prior, we had a guy Bentley who was in the spot of, let's say, a Sean Jovi would be potentially, or let's say anybody else that would challenge for your title, and he was in the ring. he had won his title. He had won the GT Ministries World title, and a guy who was similar in a spot to Mr. Jovi, that was Rarebit, and they kind of had a back and forth and a mutual understanding that Rarebit wasn't going to cash in his ticket or his Stairway to Heaven briefcase on the champion Bentley. He did it basically 5 minutes right after Bentley wins the title. So, I'm not saying that Jovi's going to do that, but Rarebit told Bentley last night in the Fountains Church in Bradford that he wasn't going to do it. He was going to do the right thing, and he did it anyway. So there has to be something in the back of your mind that even a guy like Jovi, especially this new Jovi, could do something.
You got me a little paranoid now, Tom.
I'm actually doing this for your good, because we actually, like I said, had a wrestler that was in your shoes, Bentley, who had won the GT Ministries World title yesterday. He wins it from Disciple in a 6-man tag, and all of a sudden, Rarebit, who was in the spot of Sean Jovi, and Rarebit said, I'm going to, he was fighting back, not taking off the mask. At the end of the show, Bentley wins the title, and he decides he's cashing it in anyway, and he takes that title from him. So I'm not saying that Sean Jovi's Rarebit, but what I'm saying is that any competitor, if they have an opportunity, and God forbid, you get taken to the limit from Tyler Ark, and you slip on your game, maybe the residuals from what Craven did to you, it could be a possibility.
Maybe he will, maybe he won't, but we'll see down the road if he does actually do the uncharacteristic way of doing things.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I have some more comments, so I want people to get a chance to say hello to you. First, Skulls. Speaking of Skulls, Skulls says, hello, gentlemen. Skulls has got some merchandise out there, if you heard. He's charging $30 for a shirt, so if you are out there on Facebook, you want to buy a Skulls shirt, you can certainly do that. Skulls will be here, I guess, almost about a month or so from now. I guess it's finally going to happen. Skulls and WCE, we'll have to see, right? I guess you kind of almost very political answer there. I like the answer. It was a good answer. Prince Charles says, thanks for the advice, Catalyst. At some point down the line, the student surpasses the teacher. You'll see that at Vindication too. But do you see Craven and Prince Charles as this student-teacher relationship? Am I missing something here? It seems to be one-sided, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so too, because I've never actually seen Charles and Craven in the same room, or even in the same.
It seems imaginary to me. It seems almost like, how can I put this nicely? It's like a fanboy here. I mean, I've never seen. Again, I've been covering WC for years. Help me out here. Have we ever seen an instance where Craven Rage gave advice to Prince Charles?
Not one bit.
If anything, Prince Charles maybe should avoid the match, because he's probably the only person that hasn't either received a curb stop or a chair shot to him.
Don't scare Charles now.
Oh, you know what? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just calling it as I see it here. Darkfire wants to say hello. What's up, my brother Catalyst? How's it goes, these? So, any advice for Darkfire coming up here? Darkfire seems to be the guy that a lot of people are counting on right here for big things this season. He's shown it so far.
Yeah, he's got the golden tickets.
And he gave you a run for your money for your championship in that triple threat at the start of the season. I mean, he was right there.
Yeah, he and I came to blows, literally. But yeah, he's got the advantage on his side too with the golden ticket. He can cash that in at any time.
All right. Well, you know what? I mean, certainly Darkfire's got some decisions to make, and we'll certainly figure it out here. Adonis also wants to remind us here that WC merchandise is out now. So go to WCHeat.com for it. He also wants to know, where are the WC ice cream bars? Now, do you guys have ice cream bars, or is that in the works, or am I knowing something here about that?
I don't know.
I was gonna say, was I supposed to plug something? Because I was gonna say, like, if you guys have ice cream bars out, let us know. I mean, if they're half as good as the old WWF ice cream bars, I think I'll be ready right now to run to 7-Eleven, because 7-Eleven has everything. So I would have to say, if you guys have an ice cream bar, let us know, and we'll certainly plug it. And also, Skulls says here everybody will be cursed. Okay, well, let's see. We'll find out, right? July the 1st. And big shows. I think there's 2 shows for WC that month. But if you are on Sportswire Radio, I'd like everybody to give us a like and follow on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. Also on YouTube at Sportswire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And I'll also be back here tomorrow afternoon. I'll be back here 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time with the CWE Championship Wrestling Entertainment UK champion, the Big Cheese Logan. And the Big Cheese is going to have a lot to say here, especially with the likes of Joe Cobra and the Modern Day Mafia and his challenge he put out here on Sportswire Radio, plus who knows what else. Also back here Wednesday, as I mentioned, with the aforementioned Craven Rage, the WC All Out Champion. It'll be 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Time. I'll have on the Phantom of the Outlaws earlier in the day. It'll be about 8 p.m. British Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have on Owen Carter and the Phantom Phoenix themselves, and the guys will be in action coming up here at Nonstop Action Wrestling Zenith. We'll also see Owen Carter for the Young Blood Championship. We'll be in kind of almost like a slew of contenders for that title there. Very excited to see what the guys do. I'm also going to talk a lot about Wrestling Appreciation Society. Their very successful deadline event raised almost 1,500 pounds toward cancer. So I really want to congratulate the guys one more time on that. Also, follow them on Wrestling Appreciation Society's Instagram, Facebook pages. Also, Phantom of the Outlaw, Owen Carter. Also, Phantom of the Phoenix pages. So it'll be 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. Also, Thursday, a doubleheader of coverage with the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. And then also at the very late of a late night show with Jack Delta. Jack Delta's been around all over the place here, big time star. So very, very excited about that here and more. But we are here with the Interstate Openweight Champion. That is Mr. Catalyst James Marshall. Now, Catalyst, I want to ask you before I come back to the end of the show and ask you a few thoughts. We had an appearance from a champion that was on here a little while ago that was named Omen Black. And I think he was mentioned briefly. We saw him pop up last week when it came to the resident rock star Sean Jovi and Nicholas Crenson. And he would like to say hello to you directly. Now, for those that are listening and watching, would you like to see the champion up close in person? Because he's here and he's coming off a successful title defense last night over in the IMF's backyard, literally for the Levi McDaniel promotion. He was very, very dominant, the champion. And would you like to hear from Mr. Black directly?
Bring him on.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get him flesh in the womb here himself. It is the IMF champion of the world coming off a very, very successful defense of his title. That was against Shaq there, not Shaquille O'Neal. He put him through a table and some and made short work of him and sent him back to Levi McDaniel's promotion in rather quick fashion. He is the man from the House of Wolves. He's 5'11", 385 pounds. He has made quite a name for himself here, not only on Sportswire, but over the past several months here, especially for the IMF. You can follow the IMF on YouTube at IMF Wrestling 666 and also IMF_wrestling on Instagram. And Champ, good to be with you once again. And anything you want to say in particular to another champion here in Mr. James Marshall of WCE?
See, I thought again I was going to be on the air with brute force, but
I don't think he wants anything of you guys. He's actually said like he's almost
I'm a
like
fan of his. I'm a true fan.
I think he's a fan of all of you guys, but I think he's actually like legitimately. He actually messaged me on Instagram like he could never take you guys on. So regardless of where you guys might fall on the side of the coin, I don't think he'd want any
I'm
piece
also
of
a fan of
you.
yours, Tom. Don't get it.
Well, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. But we're here for you, Mr. Black.
This guy.
Let's talk about it. So go ahead. I'm giving you the floor.
So since your company, your management wants to basically shield Craven from me, I've had my eyes on 2 guys. I made it known to one last week, Mr. Crenson himself. And number 2, and Tom, you can vouch for this, I said you, Catalyst, or James Marshall, whatever you want to name, you want to call yourself the day I show up. Now, I gave Crince some time to think about it. Haven't heard anything from him since. So now you, James Marshall, the measuring stick of the WCE, I have my eyes set on you. And how I'll sweeten the pot. When I show up in September, I'll put big gold on the line. Now, what do you say, Catalyst?
Oh, for your gold.
I don't want that championship.
Oh, you don't want this?
Mid-card championship? No thanks.
Oh. I don't know.
I've had my days as a mid-card champion. Those days are done. I'm on to bigger and better things. Like Tom said, I successfully defended my title against Chalk. It's not Shaq, Tom. Don't worry about it. It's Chalk. I couldn't pronounce it the same. I couldn't pronounce it until the day you showed up.
He got put through a table, and he's back to where he goes to Levi McDaniel's promotion. So it doesn't matter. He's a footnote.
I picked that motherfucker up in a Samoa drop, and I put him through the table. Sorry for cussing, Tom. I know you don't like cussing. I'll respect your wishes.
Well, we are on the radio. God forbid I lose my radio license. God forbid.
I would feel bad. That's the only reason I would ever feel bad for anyone, Tom.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'll let Mr. Marshall respond. It's not about me. It's about what Mr. Marshall you'd like to say toward that, because the champ makes a fair point. He was very successful last night. He's shown himself to be in a number of different promotions. He's shown himself that he's thrown his weight around, and he actually doesn't even want your championship. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the champion said he was coming to WC in September. Did I hear that correctly? And Mr. Marshall, what would you like to say to all that?
So let me get this straight. You're coming up here in September, and you're willing to defend your big gold shiny?
What do you say, Catalyst? Yes or no? I don't know if that mask is on too tight, but that's what I said. Yes or no? Do you accept?
Oh, boy.
There he is. There he is.
And no, you're not going to get Catalyst here. No. You're getting unhinged, James Marshall.
Unhinged. Okay. That was to scare me. You let a little pipsqueak Craven throw you around like a rag doll. I'm supposed to be scared? Me. The chosen son, IMF World Heavyweight Champion, the leader of the House of Wolves, Owen Black, was scared of you? Come on, James. Make it make sense.
You are a big guy, but I'll make you a little bitch.
Simple promos from a simple guy. Now, you want to be Catalyst or James Marshall? There's a saying I like to say, 2 different gimmicks, same old bum. Now, am I hearing this correct? You accept my challenge?
I accept.
Repeat that again, just for those that are listening and watching. Repeat that again, Mr. Marshall.
I accept.
Let me ask you a question, the champion here, as it looks like here we have breaking news on Sportswire Radio. It appears that the IMF champion of the world, Omen Black, the leader of the House of Wolves, is putting up his championship here in September at Wrestling Championship Entertainment's house here against the interstate champion, James Marshall. Let me ask you, though, one question, Mr. Black. You pointed out correctly that Mr. Marshall is a man of few words or fewer words. He's certainly not a Sean Jovi. He's not a Craven Rage, or he's not even certainly a Nicholas Crenson, who you did point out that where is he since? I mean, Mr. Crenson was all up in about Tyler Rock, but the last half hour he's been quiet. You've heard pin drops from him, so maybe he knows what's good for him. Some might say. But are you concerned, Omen, that a guy like a James Marshall might be somebody that looks for his actions, not words? Just curious your thoughts on that.
Are you being serious, Tom? Am I worried about James Marshall being serious in the ring? No, I'm not. And James, you know I'm telling the truth. Do you see fear in my eyes, James?
Nope.
Now you see that you smiled answering that because you just want to act like a big tough guy. But really, me and you both know who James Marshall is. He's a coward that's hide behind a mask. Sounds similar in the WCE world. Now, like I said earlier, Crenson, he's sending a boy to do a man's job to beat you for your title. That's fine. It's fine that management gives you a simple win. A warm-up, if you want to call it that. But now, James, in September, it's not going to be a warm-up. It's going to be your funeral for your wrestling career. The only thing I have to ask you is, do you want to wear a mask or not?
Am I willing to let Catalyst face you? No, I don't think so. Because you're gonna get me in September, and I will take that belt off you.
You know, I heard the shakiness in your voice when you said that. You don't even believe what you're saying. It's funny. I heard the same confidence from one Matthew Forsaken, from one Anthony Steele, from one Soldier GP, and one Chalk. They have all fallen to me. You will be no different.
You know, Catalyst, that's a strong point there. I mean, you think about the competition. You know, we had Matthew Forsaken on last week, and Mr. Matthew Forsaken was, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and he was the one that got put through the table. He was the one that couldn't get the job done. We know the long-standing relationship at one time that Soldier and Omen had. I mean, Omen's got the title that Soldier had for so long. I mean, Anthony Steele was Mr. Trash Talker. Anthony Steele went all the way from Tennessee and said he was going to do this and that, and Omen basically put him down, and he basically, after the match, kind of looked at him like a chump. I mean, it's one thing to be in the ring with a Tyler Ark. You know, it's one thing to be in a ring with Darkfire even, but he's 5'11", 385 pounds.
Big boy.
Like they said, bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I've fallen very few times.
Well,
it's not going to be any different.
I'll make you fall, and I'll leave you on the ground where you are.
You look at me in the eyes when you say that.
Well, I got some comments here, so let me get to people want to talk to both of you individuals, so let's see that. Adonis Ferrio says, enter the Omen. Skulls again repeats, just sign your death wish. I guess maybe he's speaking, I guess he can clarify who that is. One of your biggest fans, Omen Black, the Brute Force Brad Weiss, the bat signal has been put on because he gives Omen in caps locks. I see John Gonzalez was commenting at me earlier. Wow, it's getting heated in here more than me and John on the Sports Report. Cheap plug for us Friday nights, about 10:30 p.m. So just tuned in here. So when after I whoop Joby's ass, Oma is going to destroy the measuring stick of WCE. Adonis also says Dems must be fighting words. Soldier also says here September is going to be fun. Well, at least for us. Let me ask you both this question as we're here with the WC Interstate Openweight Champion, Catalyst James Marshall, and the IMF Champion of the World, Omen Black. And I want everybody to follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment and also our friends over at the IMF Wrestling 666 on YouTube, IMF_Wrestling on Instagram, WC Heat on YouTube, Facebook, WCHeat.com, and more. Please support these two great companies. But, let me ask you both this question before I get to more comments, because we have a bunch of them in here, and I'll get to everybody in a second. But Nicholas Crenson, the last half an hour, haven't heard from him. Craven Rage tonight hasn't said he's the greatest. Wouldn't he have boasted about what he did to you last month? Sean Jovi said hello, and that was that. We heard from Darkfire a cameo. I mean, we think about the cornerstones of WCE, gentlemen, and they've been quiet. Why do you think that is?
I've been saying it day one since I've been on your show, Tom. Craven is a coward. He had to find a way to get out of a match with me. And James, I'll give you this. You're man enough to take it. I'll give you this. You're more of a man than Craven. Hell of more of a man than Crenson. So I'll give you that. And I may give you a little respect. But September comes. There'll be no respect in that ring. Now, if you see my matches, Tom, or you, James, I know my way around a kendo stick better than anyone in the IMF.
I've watched your matches. I have watched them.
For sure. I will pick apart your body with one kendo stick. I will play Operation with your body.
Okay.
Well, I have some more comments here because clearly people are certainly tuned in here, and some individuals that Mr. Black very well might know in a second I'll get to. Skulls says he believes Catalyst is the one that is signing the Death Wish. So that's what Skulls thinks. Adonis Felio says, well, listen, I mean, Skulls is supposed to be WCE guy, and he's saying that's what he feels. I mean, I don't know. We'll find out in September. Guerrilla warfare has begun. It does seem like it. And this individual, by the way, you know what, Omen? You got to give at least James Marshall this. He's here tonight, right? He's gone out there, and he's been face-to-face. He's allowed the opportunity to speak with you. But this individual, who you've said he hasn't wanted to face you, and that's the nemesis James Taylor. He says, look at these guys. Omen is the king of tables matches, but the last I checked, Omen, you seem to be pretty good in those matches. And Mr. Taylor, I mean, he's got the following, but it still remains to be seen if Mr. Taylor is going to ever be in a ring with you, Mr. Black. Mr. Marshall's been here, and he's at least gone on with you one-on-one. And, I mean, you got to give Mr. Marshall that, whereas Mr. Taylor, I don't know.
You see, James just likes to run his mouth. He likes to make empty promises, which is fine. But truly, everyone feels so bad for Anthony for what James has done. He signed Anthony up for a handicap match because he knows he's not going to show up. But we'll see. We'll see in Raids in the Cage if James actually shows up.
That's Mr. Taylor for you, Mr. Marshall. Just want to confirm, just so you know it's the other James. We'll be on in your chair next Sunday night. So he'll be on here at 9 p.m. Eastern time to kind of be right in the middle of Memorial Day weekend here. More comments here. Mr. Taylor would like to respond saying the backyard legend will always be me, and I'll take all of you to school. Well, we'll find out if you're going to be in a ring somewhere. I mean, Mr. Taylor.
I watched your last match, James. Not impressed.
He goes on to say that, see, that's because they need my name for themselves to be relevant. I don't need them. They don't need me. So is he saying, Omen, that places like WC and IMF, he doesn't want to be at, you think?
I'm pretty sure that he contacted IMF first. We didn't go seeking out for James Taylor. Who would?
Well, he's the king. He's the nemesis. I mean, that's why you would think some people might want him.
No one's ever called him that. He made that own name for himself. If he's the only thing nemesis of is probably his PWF thing. I don't know what it is. All I know is me and Soldier in it, and we're dominating.
Okay, well, you know what? I do have more people that want to talk to both you guys. Taylor will be your downfall. I think this is Soldier and Mr. Taylor going back and forth. Omen, I don't need to impress you. You should impress me, Jack. All right, I'm going to give both you guys the opportunity to address each other before I give Mr. Marshall some final thoughts toward his match next week, obviously. And Mr. Black will be in action also, I believe, next weekend as well. In fact, Mr. Black's going to be in action 1, 2, 3 times coming up here. May 27th, June 18th, July the 1st. We're going to see IMF and DKW a couple of different times in that as well. So I want to make sure that everybody goes over to the IMF and follow their pages. So I'm going to both give you guys the opportunity to address each other before whatever we may say here. So I'll go with Mr. Marshall first. What would you like to say? Your final words toward Omen Black here.
Well, see you in September, buddy. Because we're gonna beat the hell out of each other. Plain and simple.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. What do you want to say toward Omen? What do you want to say toward that?
Don't tease me with a good time, James. I don't like any of you guys in the WCE. I truly don't. You guys are a bunch of yes men for a company that's going nowhere. See, an IMF, we're going places. I don't know if you're aware, if Tom's told you. I was in my first indie show, and I walked in with pure confidence. So what makes you any different? Why should I not be confident? You're nothing compared to me. And I'll show you that in September. And the last words you'll hear, James, and still, IMF World Heavyweight Champion, Omen Black.
Well, it's a pretty championship. I'll say that much here. And you can follow the IMF on YouTube at IMF Wrestling 666, where you can watch Omen's last match. We got a chance to watch it earlier today. You can also see Soldier's most recent match and the rest of the roster. And also, we'll have more IMF coverage coming up here next week with Felix Jones. So certainly, Mr. Black, I'm sure you'll be curious about that IMF coverage, as well as Wednesday night show. We'll have Mr. Craven Rage himself live in the flesh and womb. And also, I guess for you, Omen, maybe even for anybody else, Mr. Taylor himself, James Taylor, the nemesis, will be here Sunday night live next week, 9 p.m. in both of your chairs. And he also said
to be his fans and not show up to watch his match at Vendetta and TBW. So I'm just going to cosplay as one of his fans, not going to pay attention to him.
Okay, so you're gonna cosplay instead. Okay, well, he'd like to say, I apologize. I just seem not to be able to shut my mouth. I'm not gonna say things like we're gonna beat each other up. I just destroy guys like Omen and Soldier. He then also goes to say, dominating what? Your own roster of young bucks. You haven't had a true veteran test you yet, but you have to watch yesterday's show. No offense, Anthony isn't on my level, but Anthony beat Taylor. Anthony beat him last time they were in the ring. I mean, that's what some people would say. Anthony gave him 7 claymores. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I'll let Mr. Taylor respond to that. Am I missing something, Omen? Am I wrong?
No, you're completely right. You got beaten by Anthony. I haven't. Now, I know it's 10 o'clock here, So why don't you take your geriatric ass and go to bed?
Well, we'll have to see here. He also says, Adonis says, come September, I might issue a challenge to anyone from the IM.
Adonis, if you challenge anyone, you challenge the worst wrestler we got, Chucky Amell, he'll whoop your ass. Don't even waste your time.
Well, you know what? I mean, I guess we'll have to find that out because it seems like the sparks are flying certainly here, left and right on Sportswire. It's almost like the unofficial kickoff to summer has certainly started. Like, forget about Fast and the Furious X and Fast X. Forget about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Evil Rise. Forget about all the box office movies right now. John Wick 4 is still out there. I think we've gotten the fireworks tonight. The unofficial kickoff of the summer has been here in this war, and Mr. Taylor says he has beaten Anthony as well. I'll take your whole roster on Punk. Also, for you one more time, Omen, IMF Wrestling 666 on YouTube and IMF_wrestling before I let Mr. Marshall sign off it and close out with a few more closing thoughts on his match coming next week. Anything else you'd like to plug?
I got a match next week as well on the 27th.
Defending
my title again in a triple threat match between Prince.
Yes, we know Prince very well.
Little pathetic excuse of a man. And Jason Myers.
Oh, he know Mr. Myers.
Anytime I've defended a title against Jason Myers,
I realize this. I know
he
you
never gets the job done. So really...
So you're telling us he's our version of Nicholas Crenson then?
No, he's actually won a title.
Well, Crenson won one back when George Bush was president. I think it was right. Okay. George Bush.
He's won 2 titles within 1 year.
Okay, well, I wouldn't want that to be on my resume. The last time I won a championship when George Bush was president, but that's here nor there. But we'll see you in the ring coming up. Triple threat match. We'll look forward to the IMF socials. On that, last things before I let you go, Omen, and I'll go right back to Mr. Marshall. Adonis is looking forward, I guess, to your match, Omen. And he also says, Omen, sit in your little garage, eat your Twinkies, and shut the hell up. First of all, are Twinkies still even around?
Yeah.
They are? Okay.
He has
to
make
a comeback?
Somewhat of a fat joke. Ooh.
Oh, I have to say, if we're talking, by the way, just to try to lighten the mood here to make everybody feel good, if we are talking Hostess foods, I was always a fan of the baseballs. Remember the baseball cupcakes? Remember the baseballs? I always thought those were the best. They had the vanilla filling, the golden cake layering, the baseball logo on top. It was basically their version of cupcakes. Obviously, it was a black cupcake, but they made a baseball version. What they used to do in them was they would give you a baseball card. We're talking years ago. So if I'm talking Hostess, those are and the ding dongs are okay, depending on the mood. Ding dongs are okay. So maybe
my grandfather used to eat the hell out of those cupcakes.
They were good. Listen, growing up in Brooklyn, they were good because they were kind of cheap. You could buy them, and they were a good quality snack. So I have to say, growing up, we didn't always have that much, but when I got those Hostess cupcakes, I was happy about those. But let's move on. 2 more comments. Taylor, you have to make it to IMF first. You Stone Cold wannabe. I don't even think Taylor is got to do the bald head also. But Omen is probably a fan of ding dongs. I'll tell you what. I'm going to ask Taylor these questions next week. So
I'll let horrible jokes, James.
I'll ask him next week that. Omen, I'm going to thank you as always. I have a feeling I'm going to see you very soon. Certainly on one of these shows again, real soon this week. Maybe
well, I'll just tell you right now, Craven Rage, you have quite a few people who want to join your show.
Oh, really? He does?
And we're going to find a way to get on there.
Now, that's 10 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. Central time. Are you saying that you might be watching that from afar?
Or on it.
I'll tell you what. I guess stay tuned. And give us a follow and like. And
because I want to confront the guy. If I had my choice, I would sub this guy out for Craven. But since management won't let me, I'll have to settle.
Well, and listen, you know what? He's no chopped liver. I'll say that much. He can do a cannonball. He does a damn good cannonball. I gotta say that, and he does a damn good pile driver. So James Marshall is definitely somebody we love here just as much as we love Omen Black here. Champ, congratulations on the big win yesterday. Congratulations on all the success and certainly defending that titles. And I guess maybe we'll see you then real soon.
You will, Tom. And James, Be ready.
In the words of the John Wick franchise, be seeing you real soon, Mr. Omen Black. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Omen Black himself. You can follow Omen Black again on YouTube. Also, IMF Wrestling 666, IMF underscore wrestling on Instagram as well. And before I get to your final thoughts, Mr. Marshall, I don't know how you think I'm nothing. He just hit 29,500 subscribers and still growing. That is for James Taylor. Go follow him on YouTube, Taft Taylor. That's Taft Taylor on YouTube, Instagram. Check him out. He's going to be with us Sunday night, I think 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Sportswire radio platforms. Catalyst, I want to give you the opportunity to give any final thoughts to Tyler Ark or even anybody in Vector that might try to mess with your match next weekend coming up, Vindication 2.
So sorry about that. I let my hood off. Man. But anyway, Tyler Ark, I hope you're ready for an ass whipping coming next weekend. Because I don't know what Nicholas Cranston's doing, making you a sacrificial lamb. We all don't know what he's doing, but a match is a match. I'll beat you up. Take you to woodshed, wherever it takes. But hey, 1 month at a time, one show at a time.
I think that's an interesting way to look at it. You've always got, I guess, how can I put it, almost like a Zen-like kind of thoughts. You're kind of like the Zen man of WC. Never get too down, never get too high. You're always kind of like one of those guys right in the middle there. So I'll give you that much there, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Marshall. Mr. Taylor would like to say something else. He also says here, Mr. Marshall, I apologize. I'm sorry you had to even look at Omen Black. If you need help, I got your back. So I guess maybe that's an olive branch from the Nemesis James Taylor, and he does have 29,500 subscribers on YouTube. So if that means anything, that is a point. You also follow him again on Taft_Taylor on Instagram, also YouTube, Taft Taylor, and Adonis Felios wants to say, Catalyst, anytime you need backup, you know where to call. All right, well, we'll have to see here. Certainly sides have been drawn, battle lines have been drawn. Maybe we're seeing that happen. Could be since September. Stay tuned to WC and IMF's pages for more information. Of course, here on Sportswire Radio. So I give you the floor, Catalyst. And any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to plug, share, say? And I give you the opportunity, and floor is yours, my friend.
All right. Anyways, thank you all for actually showing support for WCE, IMF, showing support to basically the backyard feds.
We had a lot of them on here. Listen, we have a number of them on sport. RWA we love. We have TBW's reached out to us. We have ROEW came on tonight for the first time. They're working with us. You guys, obviously. IMF. I mean, the scene is just thriving.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for supporting backyard wrestling, because we all have one goal in common, and that's to entertain you folks.
It's all about giving people fun, a good time, something to do, doing about it the right way. And that's why we love companies like WC. Want everybody to follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WC Heat on YouTube, Facebook, WCHeat.com. And obviously also you can follow content there from the likes of James Marshall, who will be in the ring coming up here against Tyler Ark of Vector for that Interstate Openweight Championship at Vindication 2. Stay tuned for more details from WC. Also, a couple of more comments. He seconds that, Catalyst. And if IMF wants a war, they're going to get one. Maybe are we seeing the early stages of a war? IMF versus WC. I mean, I don't know if the battle lines have been drawn just yet. It could very well. Stay tuned. Maybe we saw the first early glimpses of that. I don't know. But you're going to have to find out, because I'll tell you one thing. Craven Rage is going to be in the house. He's going to certainly say, as his tights now say, rage out. We'll see if it'll be a rage out coming up here Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. My friend, good luck out there in the ring next weekend. Looking forward to watching your match, and thank you for all you do. And we'll certainly speak with you, I have no doubt, real soon here in the near and distant future. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our reigning defending interstate openweight champion of the world, James Marshall Catalyst, who's going to be in the ring here coming up next week against Tyler Ark of Vector for that championship. We also heard tonight from Omen Black, the reigning defending IMF champion, who was successful in defending that title against indie star Chalk. That was Chalk, I believe his name was, but it doesn't matter if it's Chalk, Shaq, it doesn't matter. He got his rear end handed to him from Levi McDaniel's promotion. So thank you to Omen Black for appearing. Also want to thank tonight CJ Black, the good guy earlier, who opened things up for us from the ROEW, successful off his victory tonight at Weekend Warfare against his brother C Money. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, you're going to go back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, again, tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, depending on wherever you are, Big Cheese Logan. Wednesday, Phantom of the Outlaws. You're going to have Thursday, Kyle Kennedy, the Lawman, Jack Delta, big time indie star, indie legend. Probably heard of Jack Delta. Also Craven Rage. Also Wednesday and Friday, breakout pro wrestling coverage in the UK plus Wildfire Nate Recent. One more comment for the road, as my father used to always say. Thanks, Tom. Still number one in all sports entertainment worldwide. Sportswire Radio. Good night. Godspeed until next time, Sportswire. Thank you to you, Adonis, for your support. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, follow us at Sportswire Radio. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.